So this year, the Fujifilm X-T3, everyone's beloved hybrid mirrorless camera, got a huge upgrade to the X-T3 this year, which now houses the highest resolution APS-C size sensor ever. So let's take it for a spin. The Fujifilm X-T3 is a hybrid mirrorless camera designed for the videographer and the photographer in mind. So in terms of its design, the X-T3 looks very similar to the X-T2. It's still got a durable magnesium alloy body with weather sealing, and there are some slight ergonomic changes to it that separates it from the X-T2. So firstly, in terms of dials, the exposure compensation dial is slightly a bit smaller. The sub-dials beneath the shutter dial as well as the ISO dial are a lot thicker, so they're easier to maneuver around. The diopter on the top actually has a lock now, so if you're carrying around in your bag, you know the diopter is not just going to randomly change and all your images are just going to look out of focus, which is fantastic. One big upgrade in the X-T3 is its electronic viewfinder, jumping from a 2.16 million EVF to a 3.69 million EVF, making it really bright as well as responsive. You've got the same 3-inch touchscreen at the back with the same tiltable features for portrait, as well as your standard 45 to 90 degree tilt feature. On the side of the camera, something really exciting for video people, it has a full-size 3.5mm microphone jack as well as a headphone jack right below it. You've got a USB-C charging port as well, and that can also be used to transfer files from your camera to your computer quickly as well. One really cool thing about the X-T3 is that the side door can actually be popped off. So for video users who want to use it in a cage or want to use a lot of cables running through the side of it, it's actually really cool that you can easily remove this and put it straight back on. On the right hand side, the most important feature by far in the X-T3 is it's got 2 SD card slots, because that's what all the rage is about now. And you've got a remote port at the top to plug in a shutter release. At the bottom, it uses a W126S battery, and one of the best things about the X-T3, which unlike the X-T2, really needed the battery grip to unlock its full performance, the X-T3 doesn't really need the battery grip to unlock its full performance. Really, the battery grip only serves as an extender in terms of battery life, but it doesn't boost up your continuous frames per second or video features. So the awesome thing about the X-T3 is this brand new revamped autofocus system. It's got a 2 million point phase detection system with 425 selectable autofocus points, which just means that it's ridiculously fast and can track really well. We've also noticed that the autofocus works really well in video as well. I'm not too sure how it's going to perform in low light, as we are outdoors in the middle of the day, but we were just doing a little facial detection segment just then on the video, and it works quite well. So overall, really digging this autofocus right now. If you've ever wondered what the sound of 11 frames per second sounds like on an X-T3, it sounds like this. All right, here comes this taxi. I've got you, my dude. From what I can see in the viewfinder, oh, I just left the burst on. The actual low light performance looks all right. Noise isn't too bad. The X-T2 had pretty decent low light performance considering it's just an APS-C camera. Like a lot of shots you could probably shoot around 1600 and 3200 and save it. I'm fairly confident with the raw files of this. You can probably shoot around 6400 ISO from the looks of things. It looks really smooth. So now I'm just going to go over the key features of the Fujifilm X-T3. So first off, it's got the highest resolution APS-C size sensor ever with 26.1 megapixels with no low pass filter. On top of that, it's combined with the brand new Fuji X Processor 4 processor. What this allows you to do is give you a native ISO of 160 to 12,800, shoot continuously mechanically up to 11 frames per second, or you can shoot 30 frames per second electronically with a 1.25 times crop factor. Secondly, it's got a 2.16 million phase detection point system with 425 selectable autofocus points for premium tracking and good low light autofocus performance. For video users, the Fujifilm X-T3 can record 4K video up to 60 frames per second and Full HD up to 120 frames per second at a 10-bit 420 color sampling internally. When outputted externally via HDMI to a recorder, it can record 10-bit at 422 color sampling. To support its video capabilities, it can record in F-Log, and you can choose whether you want it to be compressed at H.264 or H.265. Finally, the X-T3 has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, so you can connect straight to your smartphone and use your smartphone as a remote or as a way to transfer your photos and videos straight to your phone. So we've just turned on the eye autofocus mode and it's working pretty well. It's tracking Josh at the moment and tracking his right eye a lot. And it snaps straight to it. It's pretty good. Not too sure how this will work in a low light environment, but actually, instead of talking about it, let's just try it. Let's go in there. It's actually working really well. And I'm tracking Josh's left eye. It's working quite well. I'm gonna switch into video. I'll get him to move around a bit. Yeah, it's doing a really good job. I'm really impressed with the autofocus system, honestly. Wow. Wowee, dude. The Fujifilm X-T3, as we've just tested, the autofocus performance is brilliant. Whether you're tracking for a portrait with face/eye, or you're tracking a high-speed moving subject, it tracks extremely well from edge to edge of the frame. Absolutely brilliant, and it's really versatile. You can be a portrait lover, you can be a video user, you can be a wildlife photographer and still benefit from this amazing autofocus system. On top of that, if you are doing video, Hello. On top of that, if you are doing video, the Eterna film simulation is a great way that if you really don't want to film in a log file format, and you want to deliver something really quickly, the Eterna film simulation does give you a bit more dynamic range, which is brilliant. And for photography, the film simulation is basically exactly the same as with any other Fuji camera. The colors look brilliant, and really there's not much to complain there. A new added bonus to the X-T3 is that with the monochrome and the acros film simulations, there is a little kind of like a temperature feature that you can change, so you can make your black and whites look a bit more sepia, look a bit more warmer, or you can make it look cooler, a bit more blue, and you have +9 each way on your slider, so you can either make it really warm or make it really cool, or somewhere in between. Today's sample images were shot on a Fujifilm X-T3 with a 23mm 1.4R. The images look absolutely brilliant with the new sensor. There is so much dynamic range for you to work with in post. Coming from a predominantly full-frame user, I really appreciate the amount of detail and dynamic range that you get out of these files. The JPEGs have decent contrast and popped full of color as you would expect from a Fujifilm camera. There's plenty of detail in the shots, and low light performance isn't too bad either, where you can really push the ISO up to the 6400 mark. A quick look at the video. For a company that hasn't really been too prominent in the video industry, you have to give a hats off to Fuji for producing a camera that's capable of producing high quality video with enough versatility that professionals can benefit from. However, although there is no in-body image stabilization, it may be a bit hard to use it, especially if you are using a prime lens with the camera, where you may have to use a gimbal setup or a tripod setup. Overall, we're super impressed with the X-T3, and it really is a big upgrade from its predecessor. So just my final thoughts on the Fujifilm X-T3. A couple things I wish it did have. Firstly, a touchscreen so you can quickly review your photos, as well as a way to quickly select your autofocus points. And although it's not really a necessity, have in-body image stabilization like the X-H1. For people who do video and want to utilize Fujifilm's prime lenses, such as the 23mm, you basically have no image stabilization at all. So you would need a cage or a tripod or a gimbal to really take motion types of video. But if you're going to be using it predominantly handheld, it may not be something that we'd recommend. However, honestly, the benefits in the X-T3 from the X-T2 are significant. You have a huge performance overhaul in photography, a huge performance overhaul, and a lot of versatile options for video. And really, those small ergonomic changes, such as being able to take the door out on the left, and the brand new dial sizes, and basically the overall feel of the camera, it's honestly a near perfect Fujifilm mirrorless camera, and we highly recommend it to any enthusiast or professional looking to either get into the Fujifilm ecosystem or really upgrade from their X-T2. If you have any questions on the X-T3, pop them in the comments below. Make sure to follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, and our blog. Links to those in our description below to stay up to date with our latest events, as well as what's going on in store. And finally, if you enjoyed our video, make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button so you don't miss out on our next update as we upload videos every Tuesday and Thursday.